at 1 year after just two doses, with no more doses in between, 71% of patients still free from depression a year later. So this is a really big paradigm shift. We think it's a way to get patients out of the healthcare system, free them from their depression, free up a whole bunch of mental health resources for everyone else.
Welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. Joining me now is Doug Drysdale. He is the CEO of Cybin. And Doug, it's good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great, Steve. Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, excited to have you along and learn a little bit more about what the company's been up to and what's ahead. But first, for those not familiar, tell me a little bit of the backstory of Cybin.
Yeah, so Cybin is a mental health company. We're developing therapeutics for disorders like depression and anxiety. And we're doing that through synthesizing modified versions of psychedelic drugs. So psilocybin and DMT, which are found in magic mushrooms and ayahuasca and have been used and consumed by man for millennia. But we're developing modified synthetic pharmaceutical grade versions of these so that we can fit them into our traditional, Western healthcare system.
And you've just received a patent on a part of that program, and which is a very significant one for the company moving forward.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, we have over 80 patents granted now, and about 220 still pending. When you're a public company, you're having to raise capital for drug development, which is lengthy and expensive. Then you've got to have good IP protection around it, and we've built a really strong moat around our franchise.
Yeah, let's talk about sort of the what makes you a bit different than others that are out there, because there is a lot of talk about DMT and ayahuasca and things that are going on, but your company's organizing it in a bit of a different way. So why don't you sort of explain that to us?
Yeah, what's really different here is that we've been treating depression, say, for the last 40 years. Since the advent of Prozac, we've just been treating the signs and the symptoms. There's no cure for depression. Someone stops taking their antidepressant, they become depressed again. And people often take these treatments daily for years at a time. And only about one third of patients typically remove their depression. And you've got 70% of people still living with depression. What's different here with what we're doing is these aren't daily treatments. In our phase 2 program, we gave just two doses to patients, 3 weeks apart. After the second dose, the majority of patients were in remission from their depression. So just two doses, and we had 75% of patients free from their depression. So it's acting like a bit like a pharmaceutical intervention. But
Mm.
what's really exciting is that we followed those patients up for a year. And at 1 year after just two doses, with no more doses in between, 71% of patients still free from depression a year later. So this is a really big paradigm shift. We think it's a way to get patients out of the healthcare system, free them from their depression, free up a whole bunch of mental health resources for everyone else.
Yeah. Are you looking at the being reliant on those type of drugs situation as well, where it becomes, a have to have instead of a need to have?
Well, that's the challenge with current antidepressants is
Yeah.
that even when patients aren't in remission from depression, when they are still having their depression somewhat blunted, and these treatments also blunt the positive emotions as well. But people become emotionally dependent upon them, and they become quite afraid to come off of those antidepressants, those daily
Yeah.
treatments, in case they sink back into worsening depression. So this approach completely removes the need for daily dosing and works obviously very rapidly. As I said, just two doses.
Yeah. Give us an update on what's ahead in the next 3 to 6 months. What's some of the things we should be looking out for?
Yeah, a big year ahead for us. We're now in phase 3 with our depression treatment, which is the final phase of development. FDA has been fantastic. They've given us breakthrough therapy designation for this program, so lots of support there. So that first study in the phase 3 program is underway, and we expect to start a second one around mid-year this year. So that's ramping up right now. And then we have a second program running, an earlier program, phase 2, for anxiety disorders, and
Hmm.
that study will also read out around mid-year here, or complete around mid-year. And this is, of course, anxiety disorders affect something like 17 or 18% of the population, so it's a very big mental health problem.
Absolutely important work for sure, Doug. Thank you so much. Good to get an update on where Cybin is at, and we look forward to continuing to follow your story. Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, Doug Drysdale, the CEO of Cybin.